Breaking news that every single person with a bank account needs to hear right now. A new federal banking rule was approved overnight, and it's already rolling out inside major banks across the United States this week. And here's what most people don't realize yet. This rule changes how banks verify your identity, how they read your account activity, and how quickly they can freeze your money when their systems flag something they don't like. If you've ever deposited cash, received a large transfer, sold something online, traveled internationally, or simply relied on your bank to release your paycheck on time, I need you to pay close attention, because this is the kind of rule that doesn't become a headline until thousands of people are already locked out of their accounts. Before we go any further, if you care about your money, your financial safety, and staying ahead of these quiet rule changes, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel breaks complicated banking updates into simple, practical steps that protect your wallet before problems happen, not after. And trust me, what I'm about to explain will matter to every single person watching this. Now let's talk about what changed behind the scenes while most people were asleep. Federal regulators, working with the Treasury Department and multiple oversight agencies, finalized a rule that banks have been preparing for over a year. And starting this week, banks like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and dozens of regional and online institutions are switching over to these new requirements. By the end of this month, nearly every financial institution in the country will be following the same framework. And here's the key part. The rule fundamentally changes how banks review identity, verify deposits, and flag transactions that don't match your normal pattern. The rule has three major pillars. First, banks are required to use enhanced identity verification before allowing certain transactions. Second, banks must expand transaction monitoring across deposits, withdrawals, P2P payments, wires, and unusual spending patterns. And third, banks can freeze or restrict your account faster than before, sometimes automatically, without warning, and without giving you a chance to explain yourself first. On paper, the government says this is designed to stop fraud, reduce crime, and strengthen security. But in practice, the way banks implement this rule will affect millions of regular people who aren't doing anything wrong. Let me plant an open loop before we get deeper. Later in this video, I'm going to give you the exact 3 sentences to say to a bank representative if your account gets frozen. These 3 sentences are the difference between a one-day review and a week-long nightmare. And I'm going to tell you how one woman named Maria almost lost her car loan because of the new system, and how she managed to reverse it by doing something incredibly simple. But before we get there, you need to understand how the system works and why everyday behavior is about to get treated as suspicious. One of the triggers behind this new rule is a major shift that happened quietly when regulators withdrew a 2023 joint policy statement related to how lenders consider immigration or citizenship status. That old statement discouraged lenders from using residency information in a way that could be interpreted as discrimination. But regulators pulled it back this year, saying it conflicted with the literal text of federal credit laws. That means banks now feel much more comfortable asking for your residency documents, your immigration status, or additional proof of identity when you apply for credit or when your transactions raise questions. And once banks believe they have more legal room to ask for documentation, their automated systems start flagging more accounts for manual review. That might sound like boring legal language, but here's what it turns into in real life. A young professional with a green card applies for a loan. A small business owner receives a deposit larger than usual. A traveler swipes their debit card overseas. A person deposits cash from a car sale. In all of these everyday situations, banks' new systems are much more likely to treat the activity as suspicious, not because it looks suspicious to a human, but because the algorithm doesn't recognize the pattern. And these systems don't ask questions first. They freeze first, then they ask. Now let me explain the second driver behind this rule. banks are under huge pressure from federal authorities to catch suspicious cash activity, fraud operations, and money laundering. Several major cases, including a massive fraud ring and a federal crackdown on illicit flows involving nonprofit programs, pushed agencies to tighten rules around cash deposits and digital payments. Regulators also introduced something called geographic targeting orders in specific areas, where cash transactions as low as $200 must be reported and documented. A massive shift from the $10,000 threshold most people know. Banks reacted the way banks always do when they're scared of penalties. They overcorrect. They flag more accounts. They freeze more deposits. And instead of giving customers the benefit of the doubt, they require customers to prove they're not doing anything wrong. This flag first, ask later system is the backbone of the new rule rolling out right now, and it's why so many people will get caught off guard. Let me give you 3 real-world scenarios so you understand exactly how this affects you. Imagine Robert, a contractor who sometimes gets paid in cash. He deposits $2,400 from a client. Under the old system, the worst he might get is a small review. Under the new system, that deposit triggers a low threshold alert. His entire account is frozen while the bank asks for proof of the source. His rent autopay fails. His card declines at the grocery store. His credit score takes a hit because a payment didn't process. All because he deposited money he legitimately earned. Now imagine Jamal, who sells furniture online. He gets a payment through a third-party app for $2,800. The bank sees an unusual incoming transfer from multiple payers over a short period. The system automatically flags it. The hold isn't on the one transaction, it's on his entire checking account. For 3 days, Jamal is locked out of all his money. And then imagine Maria, who is 34 with a green card. She applied for a car loan and was declined instantly because the system flagged both a recent deposit pattern and outdated immigration documents. Maria fixed this only because she knew what to do. She pulled her credit reports, uploaded her documents, and gave the bank a clear explanation of the deposit's source. The lender reran the application and approved her for a smaller loan. But most people wouldn't know that. Most people would assume the bank made a final decision, when in reality, the algorithm made a guess that a human could fix. I'll tell you exactly what Maria said to the compliance department in just a moment. Keep listening, because those words can save you days of stress if your account ever gets flagged. Right now, you need to understand how aggressively banks are expanding their monitoring. Cash deposits, even relatively small ones. Zelle payments, Venmo payments, PayPal transfers, wire transfers, international purchases, ATM withdrawals in different states. Anything that doesn't match your historic pattern can trigger a review. Even things like receiving a tax refund that is much larger than your normal paycheck can cause the system to hold the money until you prove it's legitimate. And here's the part nobody is prepared for. Banks are not required to notify you before placing these restrictions. That means your account can be frozen without a text, without an email, without a warning. The first time you learn something is wrong is when your card gets declined, your transfer fails, or your rent bounces. And once your account is restricted, the burden shifts entirely to you to prove that the activity was legitimate. And here's the most stressful part. Even if the bank later decides it was a false alarm, the flag doesn't just disappear. It stays in your internal banking profile. If you get multiple false alarms, even if you did absolutely nothing wrong, your bank can label you as high risk and choose to close your account. And banks can share that risk flag with other financial institutions. That means if you try to open an account somewhere else, the new bank may see the flag and deny you. Clearing those flags from industry databases can take months or even years. So what do you need to do this week to avoid getting caught in this storm? The first thing is simple but critical. Update your contact info with your bank. Your phone, your email, your address, everything. If the bank tries to verify your identity and can't reach you, accounts can be restricted automatically. The second thing is to review your recent transactions. Anything out of pattern, a large deposit, an unusual transfer, an international purchase can be flagged. If you notice something unusual, call your bank before they call you. Being proactive is the difference between a short review and a full freeze. The third thing is to prepare documentation for any large or unusual deposit. Screenshots, receipts, bills of sale, contracts, written explanations, anything that shows where the money came from. If a deposit is flagged and you don't have proof, the hold lasts longer. The fourth thing is to set up alerts for large deposits, withdrawals, account holds, and suspicious activity. You never want to be blindsided. Knowing instantly gives you the chance to fix the issue before it causes damage. Fifth, if you run any kind of side business, separate your business banking from your personal banking. Personal accounts with business-like transactions get flagged faster than anything else under the new system. Sixth, if you use peer-to-peer apps, document everything. Keep notes on who paid you and why. Keep screenshots of listings. Keep proof of sales. Banks now review P2P flows just like bank deposits. Seventh, if you travel out of state or out of the country, notify your bank ahead of time. Even with the new rule, advance notice still makes a difference in preventing automatic freezes. Eighth, don't fall for scam calls pretending to be from your bank about this new rule. When rules change, scammers strike. Your bank will never ask for your password, your PIN, your full SSN, or remote access to your device. If you get a call demanding anything urgently, hang up and call the number on the back of your card. Now let me close the open loop I promised earlier. The exact 3 sentences you should say if your account ever gets flagged or frozen. These words are crafted to trigger the bank's mandatory verification process, bypass the frontline script, and get you escalated to the team that can actually fix your issue. Here's what to say, word for word. I received notice that my account has been restricted. I can provide documentation for the transaction and verify my identity immediately. Please connect me with the compliance officer handling this case and give me the reference number. Those 3 sentences turn a random hold into a tracked case, and when something is tracked, someone becomes responsible for resolving it. Now back to Maria. The only reason she got her loan approved was because she used those same principles. She didn't wait. She didn't argue. She didn't panic. She documented her income, uploaded her immigration documents, called the bank with a clear explanation, and escalated her case. 2 weeks later, she walked into a dealership with an approval in hand. That's the power of knowing how the system works. So, let me end with the real takeaway. This rule is not meant to punish you. It's meant to catch criminals. But the system isn't smart enough to tell the difference between a criminal depositing suspicious cash and a construction worker depositing earnings. It can't tell the difference between a fraudster sending money from overseas and a father supporting family abroad. It can't tell the difference between a scam ring and a small business side hustle. The only person who can help the system understand is you, through preparation, documentation, and quick communication. If you found this breakdown useful and want to stay ahead of every rule change that affects your money, hit subscribe right now so you don't miss future updates. And tell me in the comments if you've ever had a bank freeze your account or block a legitimate transaction. Your stories help other people prepare for situations they don't even know are possible. Stay informed, stay prepared, and protect your money, because these new rules are already here, and the people who understand them first are the ones who stay in control.